Hello, everyone, and welcome to our How to Influence and Close 98.2% of the Prospects You Meet. My name is Debbie D. Grote, and I am the president and founder of Excellium Coaching and Consulting, and I'm excited to have you all joining us today. My goal is that you're going to leave this call with some terrific tips that you can go out in the field and put into action this afternoon. So you've seen a little bit about my bio there on your screen, and obviously many of you know me. We've had an opportunity to meet and talk in the past. For those of you who don't know me well, I began my real estate selling career at the age of 17, working in a real estate office until I could obtain my license at the age of 18. And from there, I went on to sell, on average, in my peak of my career, and for many, many years, 15 to 16 homes a month, listing an equal amount and without the support of a team. That was actually back before we knew how to do these, these great teams that we do today. So it was really a lot of prospecting, a lot of appointments, but in order to do that type of production, I had to become really good at persuading people to do what they wanted to do when they needed to do it. And that's some of the things I'm going to share with you today. Now, as we move forward, of course, the line is muted so that we can get a high quality recording for you, but you do have the opportunity to type in questions. And so you're welcome to type those in. I have the screen up in front of me, and I will also leave some time at the end of the call to make sure we address all of those questions. Now, I do want to give you my personal and private email, debbiedgrote@gmail.com. So maybe a question occurs to you later. Please feel free to reach out. And also, we'll give you an opportunity for more information at the end of this call, and we will be sending this call and PowerPoint to you sometime in the next 24 hours so you can go over it and review it again and again. All right, so let's get started. Did you know that 50 to 70% of the business that you lose is because you did not establish rapport with your customer? Did you also know that over 75% of all buyers and sellers interview or speak to more than one agent before they choose the agent that they will work with? Now, you know you've lost business even when you were clearly the best agent for the job. And I think there's really not anything more frustrating than that. You know, we've all had those moments, right? Where you go into that listing appointment and you think, I nailed it. I was awesome, powerful, incredible. They love me. And they say something like, well, you know, we just need to think it over. You're fantastic. Thank you so much. We'll call you back in a couple of days. Lo and behold, 2 days later, you're looking at the hot sheet on the MLS computer, and you see they've listed with another agent. So what do we all do? I know I've been there and done it myself. Well, they probably overpriced it. No, wait a minute. The price is the same. Well, maybe it's a reduced commission. Well, no, the commission is fine. Well, who is it that they listed with? Oh my gosh, you're kidding me. That agent is nowhere near the caliber and track record and experience that I could offer them. So why did they choose that agent? And even if you do what I was trained to do, which is to call them and to graciously say, you know, I see that you chose another agent. I'm always looking to improve my skill and services. Tell me, what caused you to not select me? Tell me what I could do to improve in the future. And of course, that's a great practice to get into. Sometimes they tell you the truth, sometimes they don't. But you know what? Sometimes they don't even know what the truth is. Sometimes it was just that they simply did not feel that rapport with you. Everyone has their own style, their personality style, their style of communicating, and we're going to talk about that a little bit in our time together today. But I want you to think of it this way. If you are not communicating with them in a way that makes sense to them, it's almost exactly like we're speaking a foreign language. You're speaking French, I'm speaking German. I could be the most qualified person for the job, but if you don't get me, and if you don't feel I get you, then you're not going to choose me. So wouldn't you like to know the secret to winning more clients more easily? Well, it's easy, and it's right there on your screen. Sales versatility. What is it, and do you actually have it? See, our sales are often lost because we're not able to change in order to match our customers. Most highly successful salespeople, I mean truly highly successful salespeople in all industries, are masters at quickly building rapport with others. And people naturally gravitate to others who are like them. So think about this for a moment. Think about your friends. Do they talk as fast as you do? Do they have the same hobbies? Do they use the same slang words and expressions? You know what? That didn't happen by accident. You chose them because you felt in rapport. Now, you may not feel that way about all your family members, but remember, we didn't choose them. They were born in the family, right? So look at your friends, look at the people around you, and you're going to see some commonalities, and it's probably exactly the reason you gravitated to them. So how do we improve our sales versatility? Well, one simple thing is if you really want people to like you, just show them that you like and accept them. You know, I was in a training on Friday, and I was saying to the students there, imagine for a moment that you're sitting in a room, and let's even say you don't like dogs. Maybe you're not a dog lover. But suddenly the door opens and a little Labrador golden retriever puppy comes running in, just happy to see you, jumping, dancing around, so excited. You know, you almost just can't help but love it, right? Because whether you like dogs or not, it demonstrates just this unconditional acceptance, approval, and love of you. So that same thing goes for our customers. If you really want them to like you, just show them how much you accept them. Now, when you're with them, pay attention. Don't let your eyes or your mind wander. I know you have a lot on your mind. I know there's a lot of pressures in your day. What I see often happen is agents are rushing out to an appointment to meet a client. They are not well prepared. They cut it right to the last minute, so they're high stress because they're afraid they're going to be late. They're on the phone, they're solving that last minute deal crisis as they drive to that appointment. They jump out, they run in, and it's like, where am I? Who am I? What am I here to talk about? And yet we have so much money on the table each and every appointment, you need to get your head in the game. Now when you're there, you need to turn off your phone. And for those of you who are very analytical, sometimes you don't like to make eye contact. As you're thinking, you're processing, your eyes are wandering around the room. Well, you need to stop it. Make eye contact 90 to 100% of the time, certainly not a dead stare, but showing that you are absolutely riveted on them. You know, a quick little story, and I think we have time for me to tell you this. I had a speech coach that I worked with years ago. His name is Ron Arden, and Ron was a speech coach to many famous and wealthy people. One of them was President Reagan when he was in office. Now, because of those connections, Ron was, very well connected in high circles. So when Clinton was president, one of Ron's friends in the Secret Service invited him to tour the White House, a backstage tour, if you will. So Ron was really excited, flew to Washington, had a great lunch, had a fabulous tour, and as they were wrapping up the tour, the Secret Service agent said, "Oh, the president is coming down the hall. Would you like to meet him?" Well, and again, this is not my comments, this is Ron's. Ron said he didn't like President Clinton. He didn't think he was a good president. In his opinion, he wasn't a very moral person, and he really didn't care for him at all. But as he's standing there in the hall, that flashes through his mind, and he's thinking, but wait a minute, he is the president. This is a historic moment. I can talk about this in my books and from stage. Of course I want to meet him. So as he was introduced to Bill Clinton, he said that in those very few minutes, 3 to 4 minutes, he came to realize, and I'm using Ron's words, exactly why he got away with everything he did. Because Ron said he had never met anyone so incredibly charismatic. He said, you know, here I am in this busy hallway, and I'm with the President of the United States, his entourage surrounding him. He put his hand on my shoulder, he shook my hand, he looked me in the eye, he leaned close, and he asked me questions. So he asked Ron questions about himself. And Ron said, you know, I would have been perfectly happy to listen to anything that the president wanted to speak about. But no, he asked me. He said things like, I hear you've done some incredible work with previous presidents. I should hire you. Tell me a little bit about what you do. I understand you're writing a book. How did you enjoy your tour? So Bill Clinton made it all about Ron Arden. And Ron said at the end of that short exchange, and actually he said that during that conversation, he felt like the world around him evaporated and it was all about him. And that after the president walked away, he still felt that warm glow of attention, acceptance, and approval. Now that's the president. So how are you making your customers feel? Are you dashing in late? Are you scattered and unorganized? Is your mind wandering? Are your eyes wandering? Are you taking a phone call? Are you texting? Do they feel the love? All right, and now when I say building rapport, I want you to understand that building rapport is not the same thing as establishing a commonality. See, establishing a commonality is trying to find common ground that often comes across as a salesperson's insincere attempt to build rapport. Oh, you golf? So do I. Guess what? They don't care. 95% of what people think about all day is themselves. So honestly, your family probably doesn't even care, right? Because we want to talk about ourselves. Now, if you're a high I personality, your tendency might be that what you would tend to do is walk into an appointment and you would talk about yourself, your hobbies, your family, your preferences, your decor, trying to find some common ground. Stop it. Make it all about them. So remember, this isn't about us. It's about them. Stop talking about yourself. Now, another great step in improving your sales versatility is acknowledge and approve. Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. People love approval. We're like a starving, wilting little flower, and approval is the water that makes us bloom. When you give them lots of approval and acknowledgement, they want to talk to you. They want to open up and tell you what's on their mind. Then you'll see number 7, ask questions. See, it's perfectly acceptable to ask questions about things that you may already presume you know the answers to. But what we're looking to do as we ask these questions is help them self-realize, gain deeper understanding, and establish a greater rapport. Now, some of you who are in our Speak No Evil class know that I've talked about the fact that the average 4-year-old, research says, asks 300 questions in a week. The average college student asks 1. So I don't know what happens, but somewhere along the lines as we grow up, we stop asking questions and we begin to make it all about us. So this is going to take some work. In Speak No Evil, we will help you with this. Mirroring and matching. Now, if you left the call today and said, I'm only going to choose one thing to do, then your one thing to choose should be mirror and match. So what do I mean by that? mirror and match their rate of speech, their rate of speech, because a fast talker thinks a slow talker is dumb. A slow talker thinks a fast talker is nerve-wracking or a slick-talking salesperson. Because there's no right or wrong here, it's just that all of our minds process differently. So mirror and match their rate of speech. Mirror and match their tone. If they speak more loudly, you need to up your volume. If they have a more aggressive tonality, you need to match it. What about those who have a broken English? It's not their first language. Then you match their speech pattern so that they can understand you very clearly. So is this manipulative? No. This is actually incredibly unselfish. If you think about it, if you're visiting a foreign country and you don't know the language, wouldn't it be gracious? Wouldn't it be going the extra mile if you made an attempt to learn a few words of their language so that you could meet them where they're at, so that you could demonstrate that you're going the extra mile and making the effort? Now, speaking of going the extra mile, sometimes we forget how incredibly stressful a real estate sales situation is. In fact, it would probably be good if we could all buy and sell a house every year just to get back in touch with that reality. So I would suggest to you that you be a little bit patient. Be a little understanding that for them, this can be a very nerve-wracking adventure. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the acknowledgement and approval. So we already said people love approval, and yet we seldom get it. When you acknowledge what people are saying and then you express your approval, it shows that you're listening. It causes them to open up and let you in. So of course, acknowledging is not the same as approving. So if someone said to me, I think all real estate agents are lazy, I'm not going to say, great. I'm going to say, really? Interesting. You're kidding. So I'm going to acknowledge that I heard them. Now, on the other hand, if they say something that I can find an approval in, great, terrific, excellent, good for you, perfect. Now, remember, we're going to sprinkle these into our conversation. Also, please remember that they're not effective if you use the same word over and over again, because then it looks very canned. So, for example, every one of us has our favorite word. One of mine happens to be great. When I notice that I'm saying that too much and I give myself a little checkup on that, I notice that I very quickly substitute the word perfect. See, we all have those favorite phrases. Haven't you all met a salesperson that says, I can appreciate that, I can appreciate that, I can appreciate that to everything you say? So what I would suggest you may want to do is actually print this slide out, post it near your phone, and as you're speaking to your customers and clients, mix it up. Get a habit of going down the list and mixing in different acknowledgement and approval phrases. Try it on your friends and family. Use it on your staff. You would be surprised how they love it. All right, on to our next thing. What are your annoying habits? You think you don't have any? Well, I would say think again. Ask your friends, ask your family, ask your coworkers. Do you fidget? Do you compulsively check your phone? We already talked about, do your eyes wander? Do you interrupt people when they're talking? Do you talk too much? So again, remember, the 50 to 70% of the people we meet are truly either mildly annoyed or severely repelled by us. It might be a good idea to do a little checkup of what are some of your annoying habits. All right, let's go back to asking great questions. So now that we know that as adults, we probably are not naturally adept at asking questions in the way that we used to be. What are some things you can do? Well, One of the things that the coaches and I are doing and do every single week on all of our coaching calls with our great clients is we're encouraging them to make their presentations much more question-based. Because again, we know if the customer is engaged in the conversation, if they are making the statements and self-realizing, they are a lot more likely to be persuaded. Now, this doesn't come easy, so we have to practice with our coaching clients. We have to help them build these question-based presentations. And one of the activities we suggest that you can take away from the call today is buy some index cards. Get in the habit of writing down 3 to 5 good questions during your next phone call, presentation, or negotiation. See, it's completely fine if the customer actually sees these cards. Just say, I really wanted to be prepared for our meeting, so I wrote down some important questions. May I ask you now? And here's the great thing. Even if you don't ask all of the questions on your card, the fact that you prepared questions is going to make it a lot more likely that this is going to be more of a consultation and less of a pitch. Because let's face it, who wants to be the victim of a pitch? So when you're writing your questions, remember, not just any question will do. When I was in high school, one of the classes I took was high school journalism. I thought I wanted to be a journalist until I found out how much money most of them make, and then I decided that that probably wasn't a good option for me. But what I remember about that class is every single day, the teacher wrote on the board who, what, where, when, why, and how. Because she reminded us that we are not going to gain information if we're not asking open-ended questions that causes that person to really dig in and tell us what's on their mind. So as you write your 3 to 5 questions, think about, what am I trying to gain when I ask this? Who will I be asking it to? What is the right time to ask it? What are they likely to say? What is it that I'm trying to help them self-realize? Where am I trying to lead them with this question? And very critical, don't forget to take the interrogative edge off of your questions by softening them with I'm curious, I was wondering, may I ask? And please tell me. So before we go to the next slide, let me give you a quick example. Let's say that you have a seller that's very difficult and very stubborn in obtaining a price reduction. So I can call them and I can hammer them. Or I could call them and I could say, you know, Mary, I wanted to reach out and just touch base with you regarding the sale of the property. You know, first of all, tell me, has anything changed with your time frame? No, nothing has changed. Okay, good. So you still absolutely have to sell the house? Well, yeah, we have to sell it. All right, and just to make sure, your time frame is you need to be in your new destination by August. Yeah, I do. Well, what's going to happen if the home is not sold? In other words, what other options are you considering? Well, gosh, I really don't have any other options. All right, and let's see, your company is not willing to purchase the property, are they? No, they're not going to purchase the property. So Mary, tell me, what will you do if it's not sold by August? And then I'm going to dig in and ask more questions about how she feels, how that's going to impact her financially. But see, I started off this conversation, in a sense, it's like taking the ostrich that has their head in the sand, yanking their head out of the sand and making them look at these issues that they're trying to avoid. Let's go on to another technique, the powerful pause. See, pauses are powerful because the average person, now as I tell you this, I'm going to tell you I have no idea how they figured this out. But all the NLP techniques and studies on the brain that I've read tell me that the average person has 7 things going on in their mind at any given moment. So lots going on in their mind, Everyone processes at a different rate. So when you're making an important point, that powerful pause allows them to catch up. It allows them to get it. It's like putting parentheses around your words. Now also, when you pause after they speak, it lets them see that you're taking it in. So for example, if I said, do you absolutely have to sell the home? And they are saying, yes, I do. Well, then you need to price it right. And I step right on their sentence. See, they think I wasn't listening. I was just waiting for them to stop talking. But if I say, do you absolutely have to sell the home? And they say, yes, I do. Well, then I know you'll understand that's exactly why we need to do the right thing and price it correctly. So, power of pausing. Now, for those of you who talk fast, who are very high energy, who tend to interrupt or overtalk, I would suggest that before you go on your appointments, you do not drink so much caffeine. It really does make a difference. Also, as you're driving to that appointment, calm down, slow down, turn off your phone, relax, get your head in the game so that we don't walk in there at warp speed and just run right over them. So, speaking of being quiet, silence is golden. It's okay to be silent while you gather your thoughts. I just watched a group of agents present last week, and it was really shocking to me how many ums and uhs were sprinkled into their presentation. And we actually wrote them down, and it was very shocking for them. One person in a 15-minute presentation said 32 times. Just a little bit distracting, don't you think? Now maybe you don't even know because he did not realize. When we told him, he was absolutely shocked. In fact, at first he thought we were just joking. That's exactly why you're going to want to present to someone and have them critique you. So when you're coaching with us, one of the things that we absolutely feel is critical is to have you send us your listing presentation materials, to have you actually present to your coach so that they can critique you and help you fine-tune. And also what we like to do is, if you're willing, to have you actually record a live presentation. And I'm going to make a deal with you. If you do that, you can send that directly to me at debbiedgroat@gmail.com. I will listen to that presentation for you, and I will send you back a critique and a review. Now, why would I offer that? It's easy, because I know 99.5% of you will not do it. And yet it would be one of the most powerful things that you've probably ever done. Because when you listen to that recording, you may realize you're not quite as good at it as you thought you were. At a minimum, though, when you join us in the coaching, our coaches will work with you to listen to you and role play and help you improve that presentation. All right, next, be interested and be interesting. When I worked with Ron Arden, he used to say from stage, a monotone voice is like a Valium. It'll put your customers to sleep. A high-pitched voice is annoying. Now, there's been study after study done that has shown that people prefer a lower-pitched voice, that people buy more often and more easily from someone who is interesting to listen to. Maybe you're boring. You know what, though? Don't despair. We can help you with that. There are techniques, there are methods to improve how you sound and connect better with each and every customer that you meet. Last thing before we flip this slide, don't end your sentences with an upswing. I have practiced so diligently to eradicate this. When I try to do it on purpose, it's even difficult for me to do. So let me give you an example. Do you want to list your house? Do you want to list your house? See the difference? On the upswing, I sound tentative. doubtful, lacking in control, and lacking in confidence. If you tend to upswing at the end of your sentences, you need to ask those who care about you around you to smack you when you do it. And you may need to post a sign that says downswing, because that's where you find your confidence and your power. All right, let's jump over to something completely different. The 4 personality styles. Each and every one of us is a blend of many styles. Many of you have taken the DISC test. If you haven't, you should. Now, unfortunately, we can't ask our clients to take a DISC test. So we don't know what their complete profile looks like. What you're going to be looking to do, though, is you're going to be looking to spot their dominant style. My dominant style, right or wrong, because remember, not one style is better than another, they're just different. My dominant style is D, or driver. I am 99% D. So if you are presenting to me, you need to get to the point. You need to understand I'm going to be blunt. You're going to need to provide options that allow me to choose because I want to be in control. And you're going to need to be direct and strong. Otherwise, you're going to bore and annoy me. So while I'm not only high D very clearly shines out if you speak with me as my dominant style. So if you speak to that dominant style, you're going to be much, much farther down the road and one step ahead. I, or expressive. These people are more emotional in a good way, high energy, they're the life of the party. You're going to need to emphasize how this is going to make things easier. It's going to make them look good. You're going to need to use testimonials to talk about successes you've had. And you're going to need to be upbeat, exciting, action-packed. If you do not let them speak, or if you bore them, they will not choose you. Amiables or high S. So when presenting, you're going to want to emphasize how this is going to be good for all. It's the right thing to do. It's going to work out fine. They're going to need a lot of support and encouragement. They're going to need step-by-step action, and they really hesitate when making a decision. So you're going to need to lead them firmly but gently. Analytical, or the C, cautious personality. When you're presenting to an analytical, you're going to need accuracy, logic, specs, track record, data. If you do not give them the information they're seeking, they will not choose you. And to gain their commitment, you're going to need to clarify priorities, and actually a summary close works really well with a high C. So why does this matter? All right, let's take a moment and let's pretend I'm a high D, and let's pretend you're a high S. High S tend to speak slowly, calmly, and softly. And they want to be in touch with everyone's feelings. So you come to my home and you say, "Oh, hi, Debbie, I'm so glad to be here. I'm so excited to work with you. I love your home. It's beautiful. Oh, is that your family? Oh, they're just lovely. You know, I'm sure you're very concerned." Guess what? Right now, the high D in me is screaming inside, anxious to push you out the door because you are making me crazy. You don't get me. I don't want to talk about this. I don't care about what you think. I don't want to know about your family. What is my house worth? What are you going to do to sell it? Are you good enough to get the job done? And let's get on with it. So you see, you could have done a perfectly fine job had you presented to another high S. But you leave that high D appointment thinking you really bonded with me, and I immediately called someone else. That's why understanding the personality styles are so critical. See, we're not trying to read their minds. We're just looking at all the puzzle pieces. And we're looking at how they dress, because you can tell. A very analytical person, what is that brand? I think it's Etro, that really wild, crazy, fabric, almost like a Versace type of look, you're not going to see a high C person wearing that, right? So you look at what they dress. You look at the words and phrases. For example, a high I is grandiose language, hilarious, ridiculous, over the top, unbelievable. Where a high C will talk about data, comparisons, spreadsheets. Where a high D will say, get to the point, cut to the chase. A high S might talk about things about making everyone happy, feel good, need to do the right thing. If you listen, you can spot their dominant style. High Ds and high Is are going to speak faster than S and C. They process information differently, and everyone makes decisions in their own way. That takes us to the convincer strategy. This one is your golden nugget for the day. Our convincer strategy is the unconscious method that we use for convincing ourselves to make a decision. Figuring out a client's convincer strategy is simple. Ask them. See, when you're on the phone pre-qualifying them, if you say, how will you select the agent that you want to represent you? They're going to tell you. And they're going to not only tell you, but they're going to give you the list in order of importance to them. So, for example, they might say, well, I'm going to want to see their track record and testimonials. I'm going to want to talk with some of the people that they've worked with before. I'm going to want to see a plan of action or a game plan. And I need to feel that they understand my goals and what I'm trying to accomplish. Well, you should be writing this down if they're telling you this fast and furiously, because what they just did is they just gave you the recipe to persuade them. Because every decision they make, they will likely run that same pattern, whether it's choosing a listing agent, buying a car, buying a television. They will run that pattern subconsciously over and over again. So now that you know their strategy, you can feed it back to them as you're closing. And guess what? They won't even remember they gave it to you. Magic, right? So not only do you go in well prepared, you go in speaking their language, addressing their personality style, and you know their convincer strategy, so your presentation is customized to give them exactly what they need to feel comfortable and confident making the right decision to hire you. Now, on the 6 ways people become persuaded, we're not going to have enough time to go in depth on these. Now, if you're one of our clients, you know that we talk about this on Speak No Evil. You know that the full report is available in our client resources, and our coaches train you on this frequently. Now, if you are not a current coaching client, you can reach out, debbiedgroat@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to send you a copy of this report. But let's take a look at the 6 ways and why do these work. You know, neuroscience says that in today's ever crazy, wild, and busy environment that we all live in, we've developed what is called a blink response, which is basically the way that we feel comfortable making decisions on the fly, making decisions quickly. One of them is the theory of reciprocity. When we get something given to us or done for us, we feel the need to pay that back. So when you go the extra mile for a customer or client, you give them the information they need in the way that they need. Even if they're not necessarily guaranteed to choose you, they're going to be more likely to give you the opportunity to present. Also, consistency. We all like to believe that we're very consistent in all we do, when actually we're all driven by emotion. So if I said to a seller, Mr. Seller, because you are a great businessman, I know that as you review the data, you are clearly going to see where we need to price the home to get it sold. See, he's going to work to live up to my opinion of him, which might make it much easier for me to persuade him to do the right thing. The third one is liking. I don't mean that they are your best friend and they go to coffee with you. I mean that they like you. They feel in rapport with you. Again, they feel you understand them. Then scarcity. Scarcity is rare, time sensitive. We've all used this before. You know, if we list your home today, we will have just enough time to prepare it for the open house on the weekend. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, you know, this is the only home available that fits your criteria, and there are 3 other offers coming in. You need to put your best foot forward and pay the price you're willing to pay to make sure another buyer doesn't get your home. Social proof, quite simply, that's testimonials. Authority is really like social proof on steroids. So that's really, you know, Wall Street Journal says, E.F. Hutton speaks. So if you have a client that's very well known, very famous, you know, for example, one of my coaching clients, Ernie Carswell, is the realtor for Katy Perry and Fergie. Ernie is a very famous realtor. Another one of my clients, Sean Stanfield, his team is on the Wall Street Journal top 5 list of agents in the entire nation, possibly even in the world. So when I share that with you, you clearly know that that is social proof that clients of that caliber would not choose us if they didn't see the value in the coaching services. See how that works, right? So next, let's go to the next slide, methods for improving your phone skills. Now I'm going to go very quickly over this one because we are running short on time. One of the things I think that's important to realize is that only 15% of who you are is communicated through the phone. So in other words, ramp it up. So if people are not standing or sitting next to you telling you in the office that you are too loud, you are probably not reaching through that phone with enough power. Also, you need to use and practice your scripts. Now, as a coaching client, you already have our 89-page script book and matching audio download. For those of you who are not coaching clients, we have a few of our scripts available to you on Excellium.com. However, we do not give all of the scripts and download away for free. And the reason we don't is we want our clients to have the advantage. The best scripts that currently exist in the real estate industry right now that have all of the power persuasion techniques already built in. These scripts work no matter what price point. In fact, our luxury clients absolutely love them. Very polished, very non-abrasive, and very persuasive. You need them and you need to practice them. You should also stand up. You need to watch your tone, your pitch. You need to smile. Put your personality into that call. Don't forget, mirror and match their rate of speech, their tonality, and speech pattern. We can also use keyword backtracking. And you know what? That's just a fancy way of saying sprinkle in favorite words that they like to use. On top of that, great question softeners. I'm curious. I was wondering. May I ask? Because this keeps that interrogational edge out of your questions, and it really helps us make this a terrific conversation. And of course, don't take a no when a yes is still possible. So let's go back to a couple of communication tips. Don't take yourself so seriously. Remember, they're not listening to you that carefully. And after you hang up the phone within a few minutes, they've probably already forgotten you called. So just make the calls. Go for it. Listen carefully. Learn to read between the lines. Dig deeper into what they're really saying. Come from curiosity, not judgment. You know, Mr. Seller, tell me, if we overprice the home, how do you feel the buyers will respond to that? Mr. Buyer, I'm curious. We've seen about 15 homes, and you haven't felt comfortable purchasing any of them. Can you talk to me about that? Because you see, if we want them to open up, we can't sound as if we're making them wrong. Practice the global rule. You know the golden rule we were all raised on, do unto others the way you would have them do unto you? Forget that one. Do unto others the way they want you to do unto them. Meet them where they're at. What we don't have time to go too much into today is our elevator speech. In the coaching, we will help you develop that. And that's where you need to be prepared to clearly demonstrate why they should choose you. So, why they should choose you, how you are different, the benefits you bring to the table, because otherwise we could hear you're all alike. You're all nice, you're all about the same. And again, we need to prove why you. All right, so think about this. How much time could you save and how much more money could you earn if you truly mastered the art of power persuasion? So you have a choice. You can make 100 contacts to set a listing appointment, or like many of our coaching clients, you can make 10. Which one do you prefer? Also, something to think about today. See, agents, I find, often get into a habit of getting just good enough to get by. And then they stop learning and growing because they're okay. You know, they're taking 60% or 70% of the listings they go out on. They're closing 70% of the clients they work with. Is that really okay? If you did the math on the deals that you're losing, you would have enough revenue to pay for coaching, take a vacation, and save some money, right? Because we're leaving a lot of money on the table. I want you to think about this. Somewhere out there right now, someone is working on their skills. If you are not working on yours, then when you compete against them, they are going to beat you. So if you want to close 98.2% of your prospects, then you need our experienced coaches, our cutting-edge scripts, our wealth of client resources, our newly added mastermind groups, our powerful semi-annual events. We will help you understand yourself, your strengths, your gifts, and we will help you create your own customized blueprint for success. Now, of course, you probably also need some accountability to keep you on track. No matter what your skill level or your price point, we have a program for you. Everything from Speak No Evil, which is a lot of what we're talking about today, the power of persuasion, all the way up to our premier program, the Black Diamond program, which offers everything, every benefit, and offers it for teams and brokers. Our coaching clients on average experience 25 to 50% improvement in their business and their income. Think about that. After this call, take a minute and do the math. What would your business look like with 25 to 50% improvement? Don't you deserve to have the career you've always dreamed of? And you know, many of you got into this business and you had a dream. And you lost it, maybe in the down cycle. Maybe you even achieved the dream, but then you slid back. And now you're saying, I've got a few years ahead to fire it up, to make it happen, and to secure my financial future. So are you ready to excel? Let's find out. For those of you who want things to be different, who want things to be better, and you need some help to get there, register now. Our coaches will be standing by to do a business strategy call with you. The call is complimentary. Why do we do that? Well, because we know that 95% of the people we speak with join us in the coaching program. Because after speaking with our coaches, it is clear that we have the caliber and the talent on standby to help you get where you need to be. The 5% who don't sign up often do come back and sign up with us later. Our customer retention is 97%. Sure, sometimes people leave the business, retire, or once in a while they even die. However, most of our clients stay because no matter how much they grow their business, we are always one step ahead, helping them achieve the next level. So you have a choice. You can go into the second half and repeat what happened in the first half, or you can apply for a business strategy call, talk to us, and let us help you get where you need to be and where you deserve to be. And you can't afford to wait. So again, my name is Debbie DeGroat. I enjoy having you on the call, and I notice that we have a couple of questions. One of them, and it's coming from Ron, who said we're getting 5 to 10 second snippets of the audio, but missing the rest. Ron, we will absolutely send you a link to this recording, and we will send it, as a matter of fact, to everyone. And Ron, I'm thinking that it could be some technology on your end, because it looks like we're broadcasting fine from our end. So just in case any of the rest of you are experiencing any problems, please know that we will be sending this audio and the PowerPoint. We would encourage you, share it with a friend, share it with your broker. Possibly they'd like to set up a group session, something where we could be assistance to all of you. I appreciate you taking the time to join us on the call today. We look forward to speaking with you again soon, and have a great second half of the year. Bye-bye.